Welcome, fans, to another edition of the Shooting from the Hip podcast, the podcast that this week is dedicated to the topic of what if. What if being this week, what if Hogan and Savage never left the WWF back in the day, and what could
New
the
Jack.
landscape look like? There we go again, early this time.
New Jack.
Always never fails to throw me off.
You better watch out, bro.
That's a beautiful thing. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and I'm joined by my partner in this podcast endeavor, that being the Kingpin, the King of the Streets, Mr. Medina. And today we are very pleased to welcome a man who is an ECW original, one half of the tag team, the Baldies with Angel, and that would be Tony DeVito. Tony, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, man. I'm the other partner that Angel had that he broke my back because I had to carry him through ECW, bro. So that was a lot of weight.
He's just tired because I was the leader of the Baldies.
There you go. We could do a show on that someday.
Oh, then you got Vito because he's the leader.
Well, he's the one that came up with the whole concept. You know, that's what he told me, at least.
We could do a podcast reunion along those lines. Before we get into the meat of the topic, Kingpin, it's been a minute since we've done one of these. What have you been up to lately besides no good?
Eating,
working out, man, making that DeVito money. You know, I mean, he gets that WWE royalty, ECW royalty checks. You know, so I'm just trying to catch up to him. You know, but nothing really, man. I mean, I'm just trying. I got surgery coming up on the 28th. Getting my ankle fused, partial fusion. So, just old bones, like me and DeVito always talk about. Eventually, it's going to catch up to us.
Breaking down, man.
Breaking down. So I just got to get that done, and then I'll be 6 weeks non-weight bearing, and then 6 weeks in the boot. So and that's it. What's up, Glenn?
So that's a significant event. So you're just trying to take it easy, Tony. What I know this is a rare pleasure because you don't do an awful lot of these things, but just to catch the fans up in terms of what you are doing in terms of your career endeavors and others in terms of do you have anything going on with the wrestling business, or are you divorced from that, so to speak?
No, dude, we never get divorced from the wrestling business, man. These guys say that to retire. You don't retire from the wrestling business. Terry Funk retired 17 times. Mikey Whipwreck retired like 4 times.
Carino retired 7 times.
We don't retire, man. We just, you can quietly go away. But nah, man, I'm still doing some stuff, old bones and all and injuries, but I'm still doing some stuff. I'm working for a promotion called Atomic Legacy Wrestling. I am their champion. This is the belt right here. I've proudly displayed that on my wall next to my other title belts.
Nice.
So, but good promotion out of Florida.
Is that the same promotion that Wes Briscoe works for?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I recognize the belt.
I think Wes might work for some other ones too, but yeah, this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I see that you're representing the belt. You're going to be fighting, Gary Wolf.
Well, I beat Wes Briscoe for that belt. Now I got Gary Wolf coming up on the July 27th. I'm sorry, August 27th. I'm living in the past, bro. Me and Marty Jannetty in the past. It's like rocking the 80s. Where's my mullet, bro? Where's my mullet?
Well, I mean, that's good, man. I mean, at least you're getting some good competition. It's not like some local jabronis, and stuff like that. So you're getting some type of good run with the belt with some good talent, So that's awesome.
Yeah. It should be pretty good. I know they're bringing Sabu into their October event, so that might be pretty cool too. Maybe I'll get to work him again.
Awesome. You brought up the dark side of the ring, gentlemen. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that episode with Marty before we get into, because it's kind of timely in terms of our topic tonight. But what were your thoughts on that particular episode and the series in general?
I didn't see I just saw a little bit of it. I mean, I only saw like 10 minutes and I saw his leg and I was like, oh shit. And then because I had to get ankle surgery, I'm like, God damn it. That shit looks horrible. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy. I met him a couple of times. He's a nice guy, but it's just like shit. you know, that leg is bad. You know,
What did he do to his leg? Because I just saw him in May, and he seemed fine. What's going on?
He had a previous injury from. I mean, that's what the video said, that he injured him when he was
Ankles.
doing ankles during the new rocker era with.
Okay.
Al
So
Snow.
he limps all the time, so that makes some sense.
Yeah, but has an infection and everything. So
yeah, that sucks. I didn't see it either. I haven't seen the episode. I haven't even seen most of the series. I've seen a bunch of episodes, but I haven't seen the whole thing. I think it's fantastic though, and if friggin' Loke, I could get his password, I'll just sign onto the app and watch that. But I can't watch it on YouTube, bro, because the shit looks too big and it's awkward sounds. I can't do that. So if Loke Loke needs to step up to the plate. Let me steal his Spectrum password and I'll be good.
Yeah, damn right. You know, but
anyway. Marty's a great dude, man. I mean, like I said, I just saw him in May, and dude, he's such a good-spirited, friendly guy. Talks to anyone. I mean, what a good dude he is. Really is. And
yeah, I mean, yeah, I met the guy. Seems like a nice guy. I mean,
yeah,
like, I don't
know
him. I don't know him, but
yeah.
Nice
Even the Now went up to him. You know, my boys, the Now, the tag team. They went to put their Now shirt on him. He wore it all day long. It was great.
Yeah, well, it certainly is an interesting series. There's some controversy around it that it paints not Tales from the Territories from Vice, but Dark Side of the Ring paints the business in a very negative light. But I find their episodes to usually be quite balanced.
Well, there's a lot of negative shit.
There is negative stuff, yeah. Isn't there negatives in everything? I mean, that's just the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's a lot of highs. And there's a lot of lows in this business. I mean, like I said, me and DeVito traveled a lot, and we bitched a lot, and typed a lot, and this is bullshit, and you know, I mean, it's just, it's just horrible, man. You know,
and we paid our dues over and over again. It happened many times.
Damn fucking right.
Well, it's not a business for sissies, as people say.
Well, it is now.
It is now. That's what I was gonna say, because it's just not how it. It's just funny because when I watch. Like me and DeVito, like our era when we were kids or younger, you know, people like Johnny Rods and all the guys like, these fucking
David
kids,
Schultz, you mean, right? Dr. D.
Dr. D and all that.
Well, he's better. He's better than Johnny.
No, Johnny's more talented. But anyway, but you know, Dr. D, these kids don't know the business. They don't know how it was back then. Now we're the ones like these fucking kids. Don't know how it is. You know, it's just I mean, I think this era sucks. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but
I think every era says that before the next. You know what I mean? Like, we're the old guys, like you just said, we're the old guys now saying it. There was old guys before that saying it about us. And it's true to an extent, but man, it's real different now. I mean, I don't think we didn't try to make things different, you know, like we tried to stick to the old school ways still, you know.
But I don't think like the kids now don't have the respect for the old timers, and I don't give a fuck.
They don't know who they are. How can they have? They don't even know who they are.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like guys, I mean, when we were younger, Dusty Rhodes came in, yes sir, no sir.
Oh yeah, shit. And you knew who everyone was, dude. Yeah. You know, I mean.
Oh yeah, I watched everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it.
Yeah. That's a whole other podcast.
but before we jump into that, I just wanted to capitalize on your sentiment there, Tony, and that is a lot. There's always that intergenerational back and forth and repartee in terms of, you know, that conflict. Mm-hmm. But from what we've been told and looking at not so much WWE, but in AEW, there's a lot of young wrestlers there that actively don't take advantage of the wisdom that they have in the locker room there. You've got Mark Henry, you've got Jake Roberts, you've got Arn Anderson, Dean Malone, on and on. The list goes on, and they don't, we've heard this consistently, they don't seem to take the opportunity to pick their brain. Would you say that is accurate based on your recent involvement in the business as well?
I mean, I've heard all those same stories. I hope it's not true, but I guess it is since it's out there. Because how could you not talk to these guys that have paved the way for what they are right now? You know, like, how do you not ask these guys questions? How do you not talk to them? Because we talked to everybody, you know, and that's the way it was. Guys I hung out with, guys that taught me, that were in this business way before me. I mean, I learned, I listened. A lot of these kids don't want to be bothered with that. And I think it has to do with, you know, it all is the way they're raised, you know, don't tell me what to do. And this, you know, don't listen. Yeah. I don't know.
I just laugh because if and like I said, DeVito could testify to this. It's just like if there was a kid that came into the locker room with that attitude, he would
We
just
would have beat him up.
He would got beat up.
Yeah,
you know,
in the ring. You know, we would beat him up in the ring, and that's legit. You know, and that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe it needs to still. You know, and I'll get heat for stuff like that, but I don't care, man. Maybe it still needs to happen.
Or they get beat up in the workout. Like, hey, let's give you a try. Let's.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, in the workout they beat.
Dude, remember when Loke got hired? Remember the day he came in? We beat the piss out of that dude. Everyone beat his ass. Everyone.
Yeah.
And he got a fucking job because of it.
Yeah. It was different back then, you know.
We didn't hurt him.
We just
laid it in.
Well, I think Angel.
Well, hold on. Marquez might have hurt him, but I don't think any of us hurt him.
I think Kingpin, as you pointed out before, that it comes down to respect, and it's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a different mindset. It's a respect thing. It's guys who paved the way. You got to give them their respect because you know we have to. And like I said, we've been with Dusty Rhodes. We've been there with Terry Funk and all those guys. And Sabu and all that. We just kept our mouth shut and just worked. And then when we became friends, it was like it was a hell of a time.
Right.
But you had to earn that respect first before you could get comfortable.
And I'm not saying like just because you're a vet, you got to be an asshole to these kids either. I'm not saying that, but there's got to be something that these kids should be coming to people that. I mean, I've been in the business 32 years. I'm in these locker rooms sometimes. I don't think some of these people even know who I am. They just look at me like, who's this fucking old guy? I'm sure you've gotten that, Ainge,
Oh, fuck yeah. They were like, is that fucking Ahmed Johnson? He got later.
No, wait a minute. His belly's not big enough.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I don't do shows. I'm really, really picky about doing shows. I don't.
Yeah, well, I am too. That's why I only work for this one group. This locker room is pretty good. They're all very respectful kids. They do come up and talk to me. I get this one kid talks to me about my time in the 90s in WWE and WWF. This kid talks to me. This kid's not even old enough to have watched it then. He's probably 21. So this kid's done his homework. He goes back and watches old stuff. That's what I did. That's what they all should be doing.
Oh yeah, I used to watch World Class, all that stuff. Puerto Rico. I just every tape that came across my path. Japan, I watched it.
Yeah, you watch it.
Well, timely enough in terms of looking at the 80s and tapes, et cetera, et cetera. The topic was suggested by a fan who wanted the question posed in terms of what would the business be like if Hogan and Savage respectively did not jump from WWF to WCW, different time frames, but around the same, back in the 90s. And I know, Kingpin, you have some definite thoughts along those lines. But one of the areas that has come up is, would they continue to have the dominance in the WWF that they had up to the point when they left?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, Hogan, if I remember correctly, I hate saying like he was like losing steam because they were bringing up the Shawn Michaels, the Bret Harts, and stuff like that. I just think that if he would have stayed, it's hard to visualize it that he would not be main eventing WrestleMania. He'll be underneath the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, so it would have been hard for him to keep that status, that high status. Macho is a different breed. I don't know if he couldn't even do any. He was just only doing commentary. They didn't want him to wrestle.
Right.
So, that's the only thing. I think he would not be able to deal with that if he would have stayed. Right. I mean, DeVito, like you was around that time when Macho.
Yeah.
Have you ever say anything?
Never that I heard, but like I know that Savage. I mean, we all know Savage now. Savage wanted to wrestle again. He didn't want to just do commentary. I think it was a well-deserved break for him. I think it got him rested and let him heal a little bit, make his body feel better. But I, as far as we all know, right, he wanted to wrestle. So like, if he never left, we would never have like maybe DDP as we know him right now, right? Because they had a great program, and that's what got DDP on the map. So would that have happened? Maybe it still would have happened, but would it have happened to the same degree? Would it have been as good as it was because it was with Macho Man that he actually beat and got that win and propelled him to that next level, you know, because Macho Man's always here, no matter what he's doing. He's here, you know, whether he's commentary, whatever. That's Randy Savage. So he's always on top. So that definitely helped out a guy like DDP. You know, even though that dude was doing great on his own, that feud really put him on the map with the fans. So that would have been a weird scenario because you got to think of other guys too, besides just Hogan and Savage, right? There's way other guys that got impacted by that. Hogan had to leave, in my opinion. He had to leave. You know, like Angel said, yeah, maybe they put him at the main event, but the people were tired of him already. Even when he jumped to WCW, the fans didn't give a shit really because he was still the red and gold and he was still doing that stuff. And, you know, Jimmy Hart gave him a little bit more flavor. That was good, but it really wasn't great in WCW at that point either, you know?
Yeah, and I think what would have happened, I mean, I could visualize it happening, that eventually Hogan would have done like his own like Piper's Pit, you know, Hogan's Beach House, doing interviews. You know, Vince would have gave him something to do, but not.
Yeah. I don't see that being good though, honestly. I know.
But out of loyalty to Hogan, he would have just gave him an opportunity to do like a you know, Snake Pit, Piper's Pit.
So you know, if Hogan never left, right, there'd still be an NWO because that idea was even without Hogan, you know. So that would have been there, and I think it would have had a huge impact still, and I think it would have got over just as big as it did without Hogan there. So,
well, originally it would have been Sting. That was the story,
and it would have been Sting, right? So who knows where that could have been with Sting too. I mean, listen, it was great with Hogan. I mean, it was perfect. Turn and heel. Extended Hogan's career. I mean, it gave him a whole new level, a whole new chapter in the business for him. I mean, it was fantastic. Great time back then.
So you touched on it earlier in terms of the marginalization, so to speak, of Savage. What do you think was propelling Vince to only see Savage, who was 41 at the time, or about 40, to be on strictly commentator duties when he had so much gas left in the tank, as he proved in WCW?
I don't know what Vince really saw. I think Vince thought like he just couldn't take it anymore, right? I think he thought his body was worn out. Isn't that what the word going around was? Is that what he thought?
Yeah, and I did think that, you know, like, it's just like baseball, man. They were like, oh, here's comes the new players, and here's the new guys. You know, you had your run, now let's give it to these guys. Like I said, the Shawn Michaels, the Bret Harts, you know. So I just think that he just didn't see Macho in that same light anymore. He respected him, but not the same.
Now go back 10, 20 years prior to that, you know, when you had guys that were his age. You know, what would you say he was, 41 at that point?
Give or take.
Say there was a 41-year-old guy 20 years before that. That 41-year-old guy was fucking old back then. You know what I mean? They were grizzled, old, nasty-looking dudes in the ring, and like these guys were 41, but they looked 61. You know what I mean? Like there's so many guys they just always looked like old men. So that wasn't Savage, you know. So I think Vince was still under that old way of looking at the business where, you know, the old guys will come in, they'll just work here and there. They'll work the Garden. They'll work, you know, some big spot shows and, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you put like Hogan and Macho Man and like in a lineup with Dick Slater, Murdoch, you know, you can see how gristled and worn out that the other guys compared to Hogan and Savage, they, you know, it's a different night and day.
Yeah.
You know, these guys were worn out.
Yeah. Just totally different.
And look at it today when you have like the AJ Styles, the Randy Ortons, on and on, that are, you know, mid 40s and are still very vibrant and active,
right,
in terms of the contribution. So yeah, perhaps that was a very odd decision. Now, in terms of the title, both Hogan and Savage monopolized or had different lengthy periods of time around the title. One of the aspects that the fans have taken a look at for consideration is, do you each believe that they would have cycled in and out of that title picture and actually held the belt, or would it stifle that new generation of the Bretts, the Shawns, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another two-part question. Would they have maintained their dominance of the title picture? And secondly, do you think it would have had a real negative impact on that generation that came after?
No, I don't think they would have had any title runs in regards to like single competition. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think they would have ended up as the tag teams. Just like I think was it Hogan and Flair? I think
Edge and Hogan and Hogan Flair at one point. Yeah,
they would have done tags. I mean, I think they would have given them belts in that aspect. So
I think Savage could have worked with the young guys coming up. I think he could have worked with Shawn. He could have worked with Brett.
I believe it.
He still could have had good matches. So I believe differently. I believe they both would have still had title runs, including Hogan. But I think Hogan would have been used more like kind of how Brock Lesnar was used at one point. Like they bring Brock in, give him the title. He'd be back out for 4 months. Then he'd come back, do an angle. I think Hogan would have been like that. Savage could have hung right in there with those guys. And I think he could have still went with them. So I disagree with that. I think they definitely would have had runs just because of who they were.
Yeah, but I don't know if Vince would let him. That's the thing. I mean, like I said, Vince better than anybody. Would Vince would have gave him the opportunity again? Or, like I said, I don't.
Well, no, I'd say the answer to that was definitely no then, because he didn't want Macho Man wrestling. And Hogan was already kind of on his way out. Hogan was barely, dude, I was, like you said, I was around back then. I've never met Hulk Hogan. Every show I was on, he wasn't on. And I wasn't on a show and he was on the show. And so I've never met Hulk. But Macho Man I met many, many times at TV tapings, Hulk wasn't there that much, really. So I think the writing was on the wall with Hogan anyway. I think Hogan had to leave. Like I said, he had to leave. Macho Man leaving helped him out tremendously because he wanted his career to continue, and it did. And, man, he did excellent. He really did. And Hogan did too, but work rate wasn't the same as Macho Man's, Never was, but...
Yeah.
I think you made a good point that red and yellow deal was stale in WWF, and when I think history kind of ignores the fact that that act didn't really get over in WCW and was pretty much considered passe there as well. So
Jimmy Hart gave him a little more flavor, but that was really it, That was really it.
So in terms of influencing new talent or working with new talent, do you think you already kind of answered this to a point? Do you think Savage would have embraced the developing and assisting with pushing the new guys? And how do you think Hogan would have? I think you kind of as well answered that. But if he was on a more regular schedule, let's fantasy baseball that. Do you think he would have been as helpful with the younger dudes? And Angel, what's your thoughts on that?
I'll let DeVito go with that.
I think, well, we know the answer with Randy. Like Randy 100% did, and Hogan did too in WCW. I mean, I know he gets bad raps for some stuff, but I mean, he worked with Billy Kidman and he put some guys over that were younger than him. I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but I also believe that if Hogan stayed in WWE, I don't think he would have put anybody over. You know what I mean? I unless it was a top level guy like a Brett or something like that, I don't think he would have put younger talent over. But I think Randy would have done it whether he stayed or left, and we know he did it when he left. But I know he would have done it if he stayed also. But I don't think Hogan would have. I think Hogan he had too much stroke with that, and he had a lot of stroke in WCW, as we all know too. But man, because they wanted to beat WWF in the ratings so bad, it made them all work together. It made him want to put the younger talent over, and work with the NWO, which was a huge. I mean, that was a huge step in the right direction for his career, But yeah, I think he did a better job putting guys over in WCW than he would have if he had stayed in WWF. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I mean, with Randy, I think it would, as long as it made sense,
he would do it.
He would do it. If it didn't make sense, he would have not done it. Hogan, and I don't know Hogan, but from hearing stories from other people, I just think Hogan was all about Hogan. I mean,
yeah, but then I hear a lot of mix, man. I hear guys that met Hogan and say he's the, they love him. They love the guy. So
yeah,
it's all mixed.
Yeah,
You know,
it's mixed. That's the thing. But like I said, I mean,
business is business too.
yeah.
So that's you got money's money.
I mean, look at the drama they had with the Bash at the Beach.
Yeah. Well,
I
like
mean,
Scott Hall used to always say, it's not show friends, it's show business.
So just on a side note to that, Ric Flair is a legend that is renowned for, doing jobs and working with whomever. What do you think? Do you think there is some merit in that approach that Hogan allegedly had in terms of protecting his spot and not being as willing to do business as Flair? Like talking about Bash of the Beach 2000, that creative control clause that he had built into his contract that basically he wouldn't lose unless the time and the stars align. Do you think it hurt Flair to be as generous as he was?
No,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think it helped build not build his career. It helped build him as a human being. You know what I mean? The respect level that he was put at by his peers and that put him at a different level. His work was already incredible. So I mean, I don't think he was getting much better with that, but it put him as a human being up there more. Because you are willing to do business, you're willing to help the young guys out. So, you bring up Hogan with that clause he had. That's the clause I think he would have had in WWF, but he would have had it 10 years earlier or whatever it was. 8 years earlier. Mm-hmm. I think he would have had it then. That's why I don't think he would have done business the right way. There.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So one of the major highlights of the 90s was that Monday Night War and that competition with WCW. Do you see any difference in that aspect of it, the way that the business was energized on fire, the rise of WCW, the number of weeks, which the number escapes me, 300 and some odd,
83 weeks,
something like that. There you go. I was thinking days, and I was still wrong. That is a good podcast. Shout out to Eric Bischoff. Would you see the Monday Night War not happening or still happening if Hogan and Savage weren't part of that integral first period that kicked it all off?
Still happening, without a doubt. Because Eric Bischoff was so hungry to go after Vince, and that's what he did. So it still would have happened with or without Savage or Hogan or whoever at that point. It was happening. But getting the guys he got, getting Scott Hall, getting Kevin Nash, getting Hulk. I mean, he had Hulk Hogan years before that, but getting all those guys, man, that really, he put his players, man, he put his ducks in a row, as they say, right? And he did it, man. He really did. Whether he knew what he was doing at the time, like I don't know if he had an actual plan or he was just throwing everything at the wall and what stuck. Yeah,
and I agree. Like I said, with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and stuff. I mean, like I said, they brought in the Bret Hart, the Goldberg. I think it would have still excelled the way it did. Yeah. It's just Hogan was just a cherry on top for the NWO angle.
Do you think that if they didn't come, that it would have had any impact on the? I mean, we're talking about the war happening and et cetera, and the stars that you did mention that did jump. But do you think WCW would have gone under sooner?
Yes.
Or no? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. But then again, too, I don't think they would have gone under. I think they would have just operated business as usual, because I don't think Ted Turner cared about losing that money at that point.
It's a write-off.
Yeah. And all the executives knew it, so they treated it that way. So it just would have been what it was. And wrestling never would have got hot the way it did. Wrestling none of that would have happened. That boom never would have happened. Probably never been a Stone Cold Steve Austin, really. Because what where was he going? What was to do with it? Bischoff got rid of him to make room for other guys to bring people in, and big mistake on his part. Great for the business, though.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, I mean, he got the FedEx package. He went to ECW, and then from ECW to WWE. Right. I mean, if he was being bitter made him Stone Cold. I mean, the promo in ECW, and then it just propelled him to the next.
But yeah,
level.
I don't think any of that. I don't think any of the period would have happened without the war, without ECW. Like Angel just mentioned, it wouldn't have happened. Like there were so many different keys into that besides just WWF versus WCW. ECW had a huge role in that. I know people downplay it. I know Jim Cornette will downplay that. No, man, you can downplay it all you want. It still was part of that history, and it always will be. So there's other aspects that made that war great, and ECW is a big aspect.
Yeah, and building upon that, I 100% agree with you, like many other commentators, that ECW doesn't get its due in terms of that whole Monday Night War thing and how basically both those companies outright stole creative ideas and stars. But how do you, both of you as veterans of the original, how do you answer the collateral sort of criticism that ECW, and we're talking about, not to pick on Mr. Cornette, but Cornette especially talks
I love
about
Jim Cornette, first of all. I love him. So
I never met the man.
Oh, I love him.
He has his definite views, but recently even he spoke about the fact that ECW was ultimately responsible for the decay of the wrestling business, talking in reference to AEW and how the hot shotting that occurs there on a regular basis hurts the overall product. What are your each of your responses to that particular criticism of the original ECW?
I just heard that podcast and I heard him talk about it, and unfortunately, I agree with him to a certain extent. I really do. ECW we are the company that brought that stuff to mainstream, right? It's been out there. It was there in the South in the past, in the territories and stuff. But ECW brought it to the national level and made a name for itself and brought it around again. So yeah, ECW is to blame. It is to blame for a lot of this stuff. It really is.
Yeah, and and I was thinking of FMW before, because FMW was around before ECW. Yeah. But like you said, ECW brought it to that level.
It brought it to a different level. So yeah, I agree with him on that. I agree with most of the things Jim Cornette says. So
yeah, I think it's a question of fairness, though, in terms of there was a lot of hot shotting or whatever that was occurring, but I think Paulie saw the fact that the business needed some shaking up. Maybe
it did.
Yeah, maybe it was a matter of degrees, but the old product was definitely stagnant, so to speak, with that particular generation.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, back to the Hogan and Savage staying, how do you feel, or do you see any impact on the creative direction of both companies? Because you could see a definite, we've talked about WCW and what happened there, but you could see when they were gone, a definite shift in a more work rate, smaller guy company and associated emergence of that style. If they had stayed, do you think that would have the technical stuff, the high flying, do you think that would have been stifled, or do you see a neutral impact in that area?
No, I don't think so. I think it would have progressed the same way still. I really do. Bischoff, saw those guys, he saw the young guys, he saw the Jerichos, he saw the Mysterios, and he saw the Psychosises, and he took those guys, because he knew they were putting on good matches in other places, ECW, and he took it and brought it to his stage, and that helped propel it because he grabbed our audience doing that. He grabbed that ECW audience. That's why I say, like, you talk about that war still doesn't happen without ECW. Even though ECW might not have been that competitor, it fed to both of those. And the fans would go to that, and the fans would go to that, and sometimes they went to both, right? So I still think that would have happened.
I just say fuck Psychosis. He's a shits.
Well, he did. I don't know what happened to him.
Well, you remember what happened with me and you and him, right?
Yeah, and then he landed on my head after that.
And then he asked you, like, is this guy new?
Yeah. I told you, bro, my back hurts from carrying your ass.
Well, no, because he dives. I never worked with him, so I didn't feel it. I don't know his style. So when he jumped off the top rope, he landed on my chest, and I was supposed to turn and take it, but he just hit me so hard that I just took the bump, and he landed on top of me.
Yeah.
And then he tells DeVito, because DeVito comes to me, he goes, hey, that motherfucker just said he said, hey, that guy you with, is he new? I'm like, fuck him. Fuck him.
Well, you know what sucked about that, bro? I was so like, so what happened was me and Psychosis had a singles match at the Hammerstein, and man, I was so pumped for that match because I'm like, man, I get to work with Psychosis. He's, I've seen his matches. He does some cool shit. Yeah. And man, our styles just, I don't know, everything just did not mesh the right way. But I thought maybe he lost his step at that point, which was probably true. I mean, the bumps that dude was taking throughout his career, I'm sure he did lose the step by that point. But man, I was sad about that though, Ange, because I was so pumped for that match.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, okay, using Kid Cash, for example, if she flew off the top rope and did the same move, you never felt him. You never felt him. You just grabbed his legs and you flew with it. He was just heavy. Yeah. I don't know how.
You know what happened? Because he landed at you instead of landing on you like that. He landed this way. So yeah, that was it.
Jack's like, huh? That's interesting. Interesting. But he'll be like, oh, book Psychosis.
No, we are going to bring in we had to change our big card from September to November of this year, and unfortunately we had Super Crazy booked for the September show. He can't make the November one, but we're definitely bringing him in 2024, and the fans are looking forward to that, given his legacy as well. But Tony, I'd like to ask a question of the ECW originals that we have on the show, and that being, do you believe that the WWE version of ECW was brought into place strictly to, for lack of a better term, kill the product in terms of the love the fans have and had for it?
I don't think so, because the couple of shows that I did get booked for and then I did do there, the segments I was involved in were with the Sandman, right? And Vince,
Nacho guy or whatever it was,
Nacho Libre, and then I did the preacher thing. But Vince was right there with us discussing the angles the whole time. I mean, it seemed to me like Vince was fully on board with it, but something changed, right? Something definitely changed. I think that you could definitely play devil's advocate or and say, yeah, I think it was done on purpose. Let's bring it in, let's kill it. It does look like that, of course, because man, they did fucking kill it. They really did. But I can't, because of what I was involved in for two different shows there. I would say Vince was on board 100% at some point, and then it changed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember DeVito. I mean, because DeVito was funny because he was like, "Oh yeah, I was walking around, I like DeVito." Like, I mean, because DeVito was there from the beginning, so he will always remember DeVito, and just tell me, "Yeah, I was walking around like, hey, DeVito, how you doing?" or whatever. I'm like, this motherfucker has been like this with Vince, like there, But like I said, DeVito was there from the time when he was wrestling Poughkeepsie. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the company was big, but still small.
Yeah, I was there in 1992 to 97, so
he'll never forget DeVito.
Yeah, he said my name enough times on TV.
Yeah, so because I thought DeVito was going to get a job. I mean, I remember speaking to him, and I'm like, "Oh shit, man, you're doing good, man. I mean, you think it's going to go somewhere?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, it feels like it." And then shit fell to the wayside.
That preacher thing, I was supposed to get hired at that point, but it didn't happen.
So. Did you have any memorable interactions with Vince during any of your tenures there?
Probably.
Honestly, just those two. Like that was the most interaction I ever had with Vince. I mean, like I said, it was me, Vince, and Sandman going over everything, and I put my 2 cents in too because hey, I've been around a long time at this point too now, so I had no problem giving him my ideas, and Vince was awesome with it. We three of us would come up with stuff, and it was awesome. So that was the best interaction I had with him. Besides that, like doing TVs and everything, and never really interaction with him. I always would say hello to him, but that was the extent of it. So those two things I did were I had a lot of interaction with him, and it was cool. Very positive.
What
I
about
didn't
you,
have that.
Kingpin? Have you
I
ever
didn't-
met Vince?
I met him, but I don't have that. No, I don't have that DeVito. You know, he was like, "Who let the janitor in? Get this black motherfucker out of here!" So, I would have been, like I said, I never, like I said, I shook his hand and that's it. I mean, shit, I don't know. I mean, I don't have that relationship like DeVito has. I'm not saying it's a deep relationship, but he'll see DeVito now and be like, DeVito, you know, me is like, shit, New Jack, I thought you died.
That's cool.
You got lighter, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I never had it, Triple H, I did. I think when we went to I think DeVito, you were with me when we went to Madison Square Garden, right?
No, I don't think so.
When we had to go, what the fuck? I thought you were there. Like when I went to Madison Square Garden when ECW folded, Balls was there and all that stuff, and we had to go there I had a meeting with Victor Quinones, and that's when Paul was like, I got you that job in Puerto Rico. Bullshit. I kept calling Victor all day and night to get a job, and he goes, I put in a word for you, and I'm like, okay, whatever, but I thought you were there. I don't know.
No, I don't think I was there for that.
No. So, go ahead, Jack. What are you thinking?
So I just wanted to put a bow on this topic because I think we've addressed what needed to be addressed, with the exception of, do either of you gentlemen believe that if both Hogan and Savage had stayed and never gone to WCW, do you think there would be an impact on their respective legacies in the business, either positive, negative, or nothing neutral, so to speak?
I think Hogan would have went out just the way he was going out at that point. I just think he would have faded. Maybe he would have had a couple runs here and there, brought him back for certain things, but I think Hogan would have just faded out at that point if he didn't jump to WCW. I just think he would have been gone. He wanted to do acting, which he did get. He got to do his acting stuff. Not good at it, but he got to do his acting, and I'm sure that was good for him. I think he would have fizzled out in WWF. Savage, unfortunately, maybe he would have talked Vince into letting him have another run. I could see that. I liked him as a commentary. I thought he did really good there. He fit in well. The way Raw was presented at that time, they had the three commentators. Remember, it was Savage, Vince, and the hell was that? No. No, it's a comedian that used to do commentary.
Oh, on Raw.
On Raw, when Raw
first the guy that was there. Yeah,
I can't remember his face.
Yeah, he was what the hell is his name? I can't remember his name now though. Even he wasn't that bad. They didn't need him, but he wasn't that bad. But I mean, it kind of gave it that whole different flavor and stuff. So that kind of gave Savage another dimension of what his character was, or what his career was too. So, but I think that he would have taught Vincent to maybe give him another run. So I definitely could have seen that. But I think besides a couple of appearances for Hulk, I think Hulk would have been done. I think he would have retired.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with DeVito, because I think like they would have gave Hogan a lot of opportunities to do other stuff like Agent, like I said, like a Piper's Pit type of program. They would have gave him all these different avenues, but eventually he would have fizzled out because
he can't be a manager, because he's bigger than everybody. He can't be a manager. What was he going to do at that point?
Yeah, he can't take a, not saying can't take a bump, but I can picture him doing an interview and get hit. And this is the guy who slammed under the Giant. Now he's taking bumps for some new guys. Macho, like I said, I agree with DeVito. He wanted to wrestle. Eventually he would have been like, look, I can't keep doing this commentary.
Yeah, he would have talked his way back into it.
Yeah, he would have talked his way back into it. If Vince said no, he would have bounced.
But you know what? It probably wouldn't. I think him leaving had a bigger impact. I think, of course, both of them leaving had a bigger impact, but that's why I said before, there would have been no DDP, not to that same level, man. That was great. That was a great feud for those guys.
But that was the last minute thing when he left, because I remember seeing the segment where Vince is like, yeah, he's no longer here. I can't remember verbatim, but I remember he said it on Raw that Macho went on bigger, better pastures. So I think it was like at the spur of the moment where he left,
That's gonna bug me now. I'm trying to remember the dudes. Thanks to Dave. The fellow's name was Rob Bartlett.
Rob Bartlett.
Who
Yeah.
the hell is Rob Bartlett?
So Rob Bartlett, I used to listen to because he was a New York comedian, and he was on the Don Imus show. So I would hear him on Don Imus. So I knew who he was when they brought him in, where I don't know if everyone else did, but
Yeah.
I knew who I was.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't recognize him, but yeah. That's
I
him.
think did he die? I think he died.
He is. I'm looking right now. Let me see. No, he's still alive. 66.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I think he was only on for 3 episodes, 3 weeks, or something really minimal like that.
was he funny? I can't remember.
No, I think it was longer than that.
Oh, okay.
Because
What was it?
yeah, 3 weeks they weren't going live the whole time, right? Was it live right from the beginning or no?
Yeah.
Raw was live?
They switch sometimes though. He replaced Bobby Heenan, according to Dave. Thank you there. Dave, do you know how long he was on by chance? I don't think it was very long.
Fuck, Dave is the fucking encyclopedia of wrestling.
Well,
I don't even know who the motherfucker was.
shooting from the hip. The fans that watch or listen to this podcast are very educated, intelligent
That's right.
wrestling fans.
That's pretty interesting because before the show started, you didn't say that. Anyway.
Well, the only reason I was there, besides that, I don't know if I remember that.
You know who he looks like? Fucking sign guy. No, seriously. No, but look at him. Look.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I thought it was a weird choice, man. I really did. When they announced that, I was like, really? It's strange.
But it's funny, man. It's just like sometimes when you see some people like writers, when you hear like fucking Freddie Prinze Jr. is fucking writing for WWE,
right?
Or they hired some comedians to fucking write storylines. You're like, who the fuck is these people?
Who are these people? Yeah.
I need to fucking apply if they're hiring motherfuckers,
Yeah.
and stuff. I wish I could get a job.
Well, that is definitely a trip down memory lane. Dave is saying weeks that Mr. Bartlett was on, but we'll have to research that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to research that and talk about it next time. Men, do you have any final thoughts on this topic? And before we end, Tony, where can the fans find you on social media, and can you plug any upcoming appearances that you may have relevant for the fans?
Yeah, I'm defending the ALW Heavyweight Championship in Orlando, Florida at level 13, August 27th. Like I said, it's against Pitbull Gary Wolf. I don't know. They could find me on Twitter and they could find me on Instagram, but I don't even know what my handles are. Ainge, what are my handles? One's like
Ring Crew.
One's like T DeVito 72. I think the other one's like DeVito 72. I don't know.
I don't even pay attention, man.
Just fucking find me. I don't know.
It was
Fair
like
enough.
Ring Crew. That's another show talking about Ring Crew drama.
Well, you need more people. You need more people on this.
Hey, it's really fucking. I'm putting DeVito over, and that's rare. This motherfucker was shredded when he was on Ring Crew, and he used to grab the fucking rails. The guy was fucking, and DeVito used to say, "Yeah, man, I run on my treadmill every day.
Treadmill, push-ups, sit-ups. That's all I used to do."
Guy was fucking ripped.
Remember, Taz confronted me in the locker room. He goes, "Brother, what are you taking?" Like, I'm not taking anything, Taz. Brother, I've known you a long time. What are you taking?
He used to rock a tank top. But
but bro, I was like 285, and then I'm fucking shredded after that. So I mean, I get it.
And then, like I said, with wrestling, lifting the ring, and he's doing his fucking cardio. So he's lifting weights because he's putting the ring together. So yeah, he was fucking.
But bro, I used to run an hour a day on that treadmill. An hour a day, I'd be running, and then push-ups and sit-ups and crunches and dips. I just did everything. That's all I did. No weights back then. No weights.
I remember. That's why DeVito, how the fuck you get so ripped? And that's what he said. An hour a day on cardio. Bullshit. And seriously, man, I'm serious.
Ice cream every fucking day.
No.
That's awesome.
And then we started gaining weight as the time went on. Nothing bad, but he wasn't ripped as he was at the time. He still had the guns and stuff, but we were lifting and stuff. But it was funny, But yeah, but that's a different story, man. Yeah, good memories.
Yeah, want to do a ring crew show, Ainge? You got to get a bunch of us on for that one.
Oh, fuck that shit, dude. Fucking nightmares, man.
That might be a undiscovered gem of podcast gold. I think you should give it some serious thought. I like it.
You got to get Doring. You got to get Chetty. But somebody's got to dig up Marquez. I don't know where the fuck he's at. He's somewhere.
Yeah, he's in New York somewhere. The worst about doing ring crew, nothing but it's just we used to gig all the time, bleed, and then we're fucking with tape on our forehead, tearing the fucking ring down. And then we had to go to the next fucking town after we get our ass kicked.
Yeah.
And then wake up in the morning, steal food from the Fairfield Hotel, so we could have fucking snacks for the morning.
But then we could cook shit in Keener's crock pot later on that night.
We had some fucking funny memories, man. They were classics,
Oh, man.
But anyway,
well,
go ahead, Jim.
We'll bookmark that for perhaps a future episode. Tony, I want to thank you very much for coming on. We'd love to have you back. You're a wealth of experience and knowledge that I'm sure the fans are going to appreciate, and they will look you up on social media and stay current with your activities, I'm sure.
They're smart enough. They could find me. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
They could find me.
Yes, sir. Kingpin, what's your final thought
man.
Anything eloquent to bless?
No, I mean, I'm just saying I'm happy DeVito came on. I mean, I know him for years. I'm happy that he has a granddaughter.
Brand new grandfather.
I just kick, like I said, it's like I'm stuttering because I'm like, it was only yesterday seeing his kids fucking jumping on that sofa, like, kid, get away from me. Dominic's like, kid, get away from me. You bother me. And it's just time goes by quick, man. And I'm happy that he has his granddaughter. I'm happy he's doing real good. Even though Vic Grimes put him under his wing and guided him to
under
success.
His mud flap, you mean? Under his mud flap?
Vic Grimes. Dude, I always bring it up the show. My favorite. I could have dementia, and this is the one thing I would love to hold in my mind. It's when they fucking had a huge argument on TV because he went on the wrong side of the fucking apron and cut a promo on his fat ass.
Well, it's a one-sided argument.
I still enjoy it to this day.
Well, how do you get out of the ring on the same side as your partner? Like, get the fuck over on the other side.
It's a classic, man. I'll never live it. He'll never live it down.
Oh, what an idiot.
But hey, DeVito, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it for last minute
stuff.
Thanks, Jack. We'll chop it up later.
Definitely. Had a good time, guys.
Oh, for sure.
So that's it, fans. Another edition of Shooting from the Hip. We're blessed to have Tony DeVito with us, ECW original, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for